The moon, always there, always watching. A silver lantern in the dark sea of the night. You've seen it rise over quiet fields, hang above silent oceans, and vanish slowly into the glow of dawn. But how much do you really know about this quiet companion? Tonight, you'll find out. You're about to drift through the most relaxing facts about the moon. Little pieces of knowledge that not only soothe the mind, but make the familiar glow in the sky feel more mysterious, more comforting, and infinitely more beautiful. And as you listen, you may notice your breathing slow, your eyelids grow heavier, your thoughts quiet down. That's the way it should be. Here, on Infinite Sleep Science, we believe that knowledge doesn't just awaken curiosity, it can also be the perfect lullaby. So, let's float together into the calm silver world of the moon. The moon is close, yet far. On average, it rests about 238,855 miles away from Earth. That's just under 400,000 kilometers. It seems far, but compared to the vast distances in space, it's like a neighbor just across the street. If you could drive there in a car, going at highway speeds, it would take about 5 months of constant driving without stopping. Yet the moon's light reaches your eyes in just over a second. One heartbeat, and the glow that bounced off lunar mountains and plains is already here, bathing you in its gentle, silvery reflection. And here's something calming to imagine. The moon is tidally locked to us. That means it shows us the same face, always, a cosmic dance frozen in rhythm. You have seen the same lunar seas, the same craters, the same familiar patterns that your ancestors looked upon thousands of years ago. Every human who has ever gazed at the moon saw the same face. In a world of constant change, there's comfort in knowing that the moon remains steady, unchanging in its watchful gaze. Now, think of its size. The moon is about 1/4 the size of Earth. It would take almost 4 moons to stretch across our planet. But don't let that fool you. Despite its smaller size, the moon has a powerful influence on Earth. It pulls on our oceans, creating tides that breathe life into marine ecosystems. Without the moon, the rhythm of Earth would feel incomplete. You might not notice the tides every day, but they guide the pulse of the planet. Every wave that laps against a beach, every rise and fall of the sea is a whisper from the moon. The moon is ancient. Scientists believe it formed around 4.5 billion years ago, not long after Earth itself. Imagine that, when the first oceans on Earth were just beginning to form, the moon was already there, a newborn body in the sky. Some scientists think it came from a colossal impact when a Mars-sized object collided with the early Earth. The debris circled, gathered, and became the moon we know. It has been with us since the dawn of life, a quiet companion through all of human history, and far, far beyond that. Look closely at the moon, and you'll see dark patches scattered across its surface. These are called maria, which means seas in Latin. Of course, they are not oceans of water, but plains of ancient cooled lava. Long ago, volcanic activities spilled molten rock across its surface, leaving behind the smooth, dark areas we see today. Between these seas, the brighter highlands rise like rugged mountains, scarred with craters from ancient impacts. Each scar tells a story, a silent history written in stone. Now, picture this. If you stood on the moon, the Earth would hang above you, large and blue, much bigger than the moon appears to us. From there, Earth would never rise or set. Just like we always see the same face of the moon, lunar observers would always see the Earth fixed in their sky, slowly spinning. Imagine falling asleep beneath an unmoving Earth, glowing like a jewel against the black. The thought itself is strangely calming, but the moon is quiet, truly quiet. On Earth, silence is never perfect. There's always the rustle of leaves, the hum of electricity, the distant echo of life. But on the moon, there is no atmosphere to carry sound. If you were there, you would hear nothing. Not the whisper of wind, not the call of animals, not even the faintest breeze. Just silence, deep and complete. A silence so profound it could almost cradle you, as if the universe itself was inviting you to rest. Yet the moon is not still. Its surface changes slowly, weathered not by wind or rain, but by time and by space. Micrometeorites, tiny particles of cosmic dust, constantly strike it. Over millions of years, they grind down sharp rocks into fine powder. This is lunar regolith, a layer of soft, gray dust that covers the moon like a blanket. If you took a step there, your footprint would stay for millions of years. There are no winds to erase it, no rains to wash it away. The surface holds memories forever. That, too, is strangely comforting. Every mark endures, every trace of presence preserved. Think now of its phases. The moon does not always look the same. It waxes and wanes, grows and shrinks in the sky, a living calendar above us. A cycle that takes about 29.5 days, guiding ancient farmers, sailors, and dreamers alike. The crescent, delicate and sharp, like a smile in the sky. The half moon, balanced and steady. The full moon, round and glowing, bathing the world in silver light. And then it fades, returning to darkness, only to be reborn again. The moon is a reminder of cycles, of renewal, of endless return. Watching it can bring a deep sense of calm, a sense that time itself is circular, not rushing forward, but flowing in a gentle loop. For centuries, people have fallen asleep by the light of the moon. Its glow is soft, not blinding. Unlike the harsh glare of the sun, the moon soothes. It casts shadows that are gentle, not sharp. It paints the world in shades of silver and blue, turning night into a dreamscape. Ancient poets wrote about its beauty. Lovers walked under its light. Travelers found their way by its glow. And for countless generations, the moon has been a companion to those seeking rest, a steady friend in the dark. And so, as you drift deeper into this exploration, let the moon carry you further into relaxation. For the story of the moon is long, winding, and filled with wonders you may not have known. The first act of our journey reminds you that the moon is not just a rock in the sky. It is history, it is rhythm, it is silence, it is light, and most of all, it is comfort. As we continue, we will discover even more secrets of its surface, the way it affects Earth in ways you've never imagined, and the mysteries it still holds. The moon is more than a companion in the night sky. It is a force, quiet yet powerful, shaping the Earth in ways that most people never notice. It pulls on the oceans with its gravity, drawing the tides in and out like a slow, steady breath. Twice each day, the waters rise and fall, guided by the moon's gentle hand. Stand by the sea and listen to the waves, and you're hearing the moon itself. Without it, Earth would be a different planet. Our tides would be weaker, our oceans calmer, and life might never have evolved in the way it did. The moon's tug created tidal pools, little laboratories where early creatures first crawled from water to land. In a sense, we are here because of the moon. That thought alone is enough to inspire awe, and to remind you that sometimes the quietest forces are the most important. But the moon's influence doesn't stop with tides. It also stabilizes Earth's tilt. Our planet leans at about 23.5 degrees, and this tilt is what gives us seasons. Without the moon, that tilt would wobble wildly over millions of years. The climate would swing unpredictably, from scorching heat to freezing cold. Life would have struggled to adapt. But the moon steadies us. Like a hand resting on a spinning top, it keeps Earth balanced. Because of the moon, our seasons are reliable, our climate stable, our world more habitable. Every gentle snowfall, every autumn leaf, every spring bloom owes something to the presence of the moon. Imagine now its surface up close. The craters you see from Earth are not just marks, they are the scars of cosmic history. Billions of years of impacts, each one a story of rock colliding with rock in the silence of space. Some are small, barely noticeable, while others are massive, stretching hundreds of miles across. The largest, the South Pole Aitken Basin, is one of the biggest impact craters in the entire solar system. It's so large it could swallow countries whole, yet it rests quietly on the far side of the moon, hidden from Earth's view. These scars are permanent, frozen in time, untouched by erosion or weather. They are history you can still see, history that will never fade. And the far side of the moon, the one we never see, is even more mysterious. For centuries, people wondered what was there. When spacecraft first orbited the moon and sent back images, the world gasped. The far side is rougher, more cratered, with fewer smooth plains than the near side. It is a reminder that even familiar things can hold secrets. What we see is not always the whole story. And just knowing that the moon still hides mysteries can bring a strange sense of comfort, because mystery itself can be soothing. It gives the mind room to wander, to dream, to imagine. The moon has no atmosphere like Earth's, but it does have a very thin exosphere, made of tiny particles released from the surface. It is so delicate that if you were standing there, you wouldn't notice it at all. The sky would still be black, the stars bright, the sun blazing without a haze. But even in this emptiness, the moon has weather of a sort, tiny movements, faint tremors, called moonquakes. They can last for long minutes, caused by tidal stresses, by impacts, or by heat expanding the crust after long lunar nights. They are subtle reminders that even the quietest worlds have their rhythms, their pulses, their heartbeats. Speaking of nights, the lunar day is very different from ours. One day on the moon lasts about 29.5 Earth days. That means 2 weeks of unbroken sunlight, followed by 2 weeks of unbroken darkness. Imagine standing there as the sun slowly climbs into the sky, taking days to rise, and then hanging overhead without moving for what feels like forever. Then, equally slowly, it sets, and the world falls into 2 weeks of night, colder than anywhere on Earth. The extremes are unimaginable to us, boiling heat by day, freezing cold by night. Yet from Earth, we see only the silver glow, not the harsh extremes. Distance softens reality, turning it into beauty. Now, consider how humans have always connected with the moon. Ancient civilizations used it as a calendar. Before clocks, before smartphones, before even written numbers, people looked up and counted days by the moon's cycle. The new moon meant a fresh start. The full moon meant the middle of the cycle. Farmers planted and harvested by its light. Priests and astronomers tracked its phases to mark sacred days. The moon was not just an object in the sky, it was time itself. Even today, many calendars, especially lunar ones, still follow its rhythm. The moon has always been more than just light. It has been order, structure, guidance. But beyond science and calendars, the moon has always been a source of inspiration. Poets described it as a mirror of the soul. Artists painted it as a symbol of mystery. Lovers swore oaths beneath its glow. Across cultures, it became a goddess, a god, a lamp, a guide, a guardian. Its glow was said to influence dreams, emotions, even fate. Myths and stories tied it to wolves, to rivers, to birth and death. While science explains the moon as a celestial body of rock and dust, the human heart has always felt something more. And perhaps that's what makes it so relaxing. The moon belongs not only to astronomy, but also to imagination. Now, let your mind wander to the astronauts who have actually walked on its surface. 12 people, all between 1969 and 1972, left footprints there. Just 12. Think of that number. It's so small, yet so monumental. They stood where no human had stood before, gazing back at Earth hanging in the sky. Imagine what that must have felt like, the blue and white globe suspended over a barren horizon. One astronaut described Earth as so small, so fragile, so precious. Another said the silence of the moon was overwhelming, a silence that made every breath in his helmet seem louder, every heartbeat more real. For them, the moon was not just a distant light, but a world beneath their feet. And yet, even for us who remain here on Earth, their journey makes the moon feel closer, more familiar, more personal. Think of the moon as a bridge between opposites. It is both near and far, both bright and dark, both known and mysterious. It is rock and dust, yet it is also poetry and dreams. It shapes the tides and the seasons, yet it also shapes our imagination. It is science and story, fact and feeling. And that is why it is so endlessly calming. When you look at the moon, you are looking at something both simple and profound, both eternal and fleeting, both ordinary and magical. And so, as this second act drifts gently toward its close, let yourself rest deeper into this lunar journey. The moon is no longer just a distant object. It is part of you, part of Earth, part of life itself. Every breath of air, every ripple of water, every dream beneath its glow is connected to it. And as you prepare to enter the final part of this journey, remember this: the moon is not just above you. It is within you. Its rhythm is your rhythm. Its calm is your calm. And its glow is the glow that will guide you gently into sleep. The moon has always been with us, a constant companion. Yet even now, it continues to surprise. In recent years, scientists discovered that the moon is not as dry as once thought. Traces of water ice lie hidden in the shadows of craters near its poles, places where sunlight never reaches. Imagine those dark craters, colder than any place on Earth, where tiny crystals of frozen water rest, untouched for billions of years. They are time capsules, holding secrets of the early solar system, whispers of comets and cosmic dust that carried water long before Earth's oceans formed. Just the thought that water, the essence of life, lies waiting in the moon's eternal night is a comfort, a reminder that the universe often hides treasures in its quietest corners. And those corners are truly silent. If you could stand in a shadowed crater at the lunar South Pole, you would see a sky full of stars that never fade, arising wrapped in shadow. A darkness so deep that it almost feels like a blanket. There is peace in that stillness. Peace in knowing that such places exist, untouched and undisturbed. The moon holds that serenity, keeping it safe while we race through our noisy world. But the moon is not only a keeper of silence. It is a mirror for Earth. When you look at the moon, you are seeing reflected sunlight, light that has traveled 93 million miles from the sun, bounced off the moon's surface, and returned to your eyes. Every glow, every silver beam is borrowed light, softened and reshaped. That's why the moon feels gentler than the sun. It transforms harsh light into something soothing, something that eases the mind. It is a reminder that reflection can be beautiful, that even borrowed light can be enough to brighten the darkest night. Think of how many people have looked at the same moon you see tonight. Ancient hunters, watching it rise over the savannah. Sailors, steering their ships by its glow. Poets, sketching words by its silver light. Children, whispering dreams to it before sleep. Across time and across the world, the moon has connected us. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, the moon is the same. It is the one constant in a world of change. That thought alone is enough to soothe any restless mind. And what of its future? One day, humans may return to the moon, perhaps even live there. Scientists dream of building bases near its poles, using water ice to make air to breathe and fuel to travel farther into space. From there, we could reach Mars, the outer planets, and beyond. The moon could be our stepping stone, our launch pad into the wider universe. And yet, even if that happens, even if cities someday glow on its surface, the moon will always remain what it has always been. A place of calm, a quiet neighbor, a reminder of beauty and stillness. The moon has phases, but it never disappears. Even when the new moon hides in the sky, it is still there, orbiting, waiting, watching. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is gone. That truth, too, is comforting. Just like the moon, there are constants in life, things unseen, but always present. The moon teaches patience, teaches trust, teaches that cycles always return. Darkness is followed by light. Silence is followed by song. Emptiness is followed by fullness. And in those patterns, there is peace. Now, imagine yourself lying beneath its glow. The night is quiet, the world bathed in silver. Each breath feels slower, deeper, calmer. Above you, the moon hangs steady, ancient, eternal. It has seen empires rise and fall, oceans shift, forests grow and vanish. It has watched over humanity from its very beginning, and it will continue long after. It is the silent witness, the guardian of the night. And in its watchful presence, you are safe. As you drift further into rest, remember this: the moon does not demand. It does not rush. It simply shines. It reminds you that it is enough to be, enough to exist, enough to rest. Just as the tides follow its pull, let yourself follow its rhythm. Let the weight of the day recede. Let your thoughts ebb like the waves, and let the calm of the moon flow in. And so, our journey draws to a close. You have traveled through the moon's history, its mysteries, its science, and its stories. You have felt its silence, its light, its presence. And now you can let go. Let the moon cradle you, as it has cradled Earth for billions of years. Let its glow guide you, as it has guided travelers across endless nights. And let its calm settle into you, until sleep arrives as softly as moonlight on water. This has been Infinite Sleep Science. Thank you for joining this journey to the moon. May its light carry you into peaceful dreams, and may you always find calm in its eternal glow. Have you ever wondered what the universe whispers when everything falls quiet? What mysteries float silently in the endless night above us? The stars seem eternal, but they are not. The galaxies appear still, but they move slowly, gracefully, across the infinite fabric of time. Tonight, we drift into that cosmic sea, and as your eyes grow heavy, we let the universe itself become the lullaby. Welcome to Infinite Sleep Science. Here we will unravel the most relaxing truths about the cosmos, facts so soothing, so vast, they will ease your thoughts into quiet wonder, guiding you towards sleep while keeping your imagination floating gently among the stars. The universe is not just full of chaos and explosions, but also harmony, balance, and rhythms that repeat with quiet certainty. If you close your eyes, you might picture the Earth itself gliding in orbit, not rushing, not struggling, but moving at a steady pace 66,000 miles per hour around the sun. And yet you feel nothing. It is effortless. You are always in motion, always carried, and yet perfectly still. And that paradox alone is calming. You are never stuck, never frozen, but always part of a journey around something far greater than yourself. Our planet drifts like a cradle in space, and it is not alone. The sun itself orbits the Milky Way, dragging us with it, like a leaf caught in the flow of a wide, endless river. One orbit takes about 225 million years. That means since the dinosaurs first walked the Earth, our solar system has only circled the galaxy once. Imagine that. The dinosaurs looked up at the same sky, but the whole neighborhood of stars was in an entirely different place. We are passengers in a ship that sails across eons. And yet, the stars seem fixed. This illusion of stillness is what allows us to find calm when we stare at the night sky. For what you see above you has been frozen for thousands, even millions of years, their light taking an eternity to travel to your eyes. The light of Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, has been traveling for about 8.5 years. When you see it sparkle, you are looking back almost a decade in time. Other stars are messengers from hundreds or thousands of years ago. Some are even ghosts, long gone, their light only now arriving, whispering to us across centuries. There is peace in knowing that starlight is a bridge between past and present. You are never only here and now. You are also touching the faraway and the long ago. The further you look, the more time unwinds. The Andromeda Galaxy, faint and ghostly, is 2.5 million light-years away. When you gaze at it, you are looking at ancient light that began its journey long before humans existed, long before our ancestors even dreamed of fire. That quiet glow is not just a galaxy, but a memory. And yet, it shines, steady, as if reassuring us. You belong to something that stretches beyond imagination, and still, it all feels connected. Every galaxy you see is like a lantern in a great cosmic night. They are not scattered randomly, but arranged into filaments, great threads of light stretching across billions of light years. Imagine it, the universe as a web, delicate but vast, glowing softly, each strand humming with stars and planets, as if the cosmos itself is breathing. To know this is to be held by perspective. Your worries become smaller, lighter, as you realize they are only a spark in an ocean that has always existed. And that ocean itself is calm in ways we rarely consider. The cosmic microwave background, the oldest light in the universe, is everywhere. It is faint, invisible to your eyes, but it hums quietly as radiation at just a few degrees above absolute zero. It is the afterglow of the Big Bang, but also a blanket, soft and omnipresent, filling all of space. You are wrapped in it every second of your life, gently bathed in the oldest whisper of creation. Imagine yourself floating in that glow, weightless, endless, at peace. The universe is not rushing. It expands slowly, steadily, as if stretching its arms in a long, infinite yawn. This expansion creates more room, more silence, more distance, but it is never hurried. Even the farthest galaxies do not break free. They simply drift away on currents we cannot feel. This slow breathing of space itself is the deepest rhythm of existence, and rhythms are soothing. The heart of a star beats too. Stars pulse. Some grow brighter and dimmer in steady patterns, like cosmic heartbeats. These pulsations can last days, months, or even years. Imagine the star called Cepheid, swelling and fading, its rhythm so predictable that we use it to measure the scale of the universe. The stars themselves give us a clock, ticking softly, never missing a beat. In the silence of space, it is music, though you cannot hear it. Even planets sing. Jupiter emits deep radio waves, like an otherworldly choir. Saturn's rings hum with vibrations as particles collide and settle. These sounds, converted into tones, resemble whispers, sighs, and distant breaths. The universe hums gently, like a lullaby in frequencies our ears cannot normally perceive. But your mind can imagine them. Imagine Saturn, surrounded by rings, singing a slow, deep note that stretches into eternity. This is not fantasy, it is reality. And in this reality, the chaos we imagine is always balanced by harmony. Gravity holds galaxies together like an invisible embrace. It is patient, endless, never letting go. It does not shout, it only pulls, gently, steadily, binding stars to stars, planets to suns, moons to their mothers. Every orbit you imagine is like a dance step, repeated without error for millions of years. The Earth has circled the Sun over 4 billion times. The Moon has circled Earth for the same. Never skipping, never breaking, just moving endlessly, silently. Imagine a waltz that never tires, a rhythm that never fades. That is the universe's promise, stability in the midst of infinity. Even when stars die, they do so with a beauty that is both awe-inspiring and serene. Some swell into red giants, glowing softly like embers. Others collapse into white dwarfs, small but pure, radiating heat slowly, fading gently over billions of years. They do not vanish, they become whispers of light, glowing softly in the cosmic night. These remnants drift quietly, waiting, cooling, until eventually they fade into darkness. But even that darkness is peaceful. A white dwarf will cool into a black dwarf, a star that no longer shines. But this process takes longer than the current age of the universe. That means not a single black dwarf exists yet. The universe is still too young. Every star you see, every ember in the night sky, is still burning, still glowing, still keeping its promise. And that thought is soothing. The night sky is alive and will remain alive for billions of years more. Nothing is in a hurry. Nothing is ending soon. And so you too may rest. As you drift further into this cosmic sea, let your mind follow the stars as they stretch across eternity. Each one is not only a point of light, but also a place. Imagine for a moment leaving Earth behind and approaching one of those distant suns. Many stars are not alone. They live in pairs, orbiting one another in a delicate balance. Some move so close that their light merges, a glowing harmony. Others drift farther apart, pulling and circling like partners in an eternal dance, never colliding, always turning. If you picture them, you can see two suns rising in the sky of some faraway planet. One golden, the other red, their warmth blending into a gentle, endless day. And there are planets billions upon billions of them. The Milky Way alone may hold more than 100 billion worlds. Some circle stars like ours. Others drift freely in the darkness, with no sun at all, wandering silently through the black. These rogue planets float like travelers, homeless yet unafraid, wrapped in their own atmospheres, warmed by the slow decay of their cores. They do not need light to exist. They are nomads in the night, reminders that even in darkness, life and persistence continue. Think of the exoplanets discovered so far. Some have oceans so vast they make Earth's seas look like puddles. Imagine standing there, waves stretching beyond the horizon, no land in sight, only endless water beneath alien skies. A calm sound of waves you know from Earth might exist there too, reshaped by alien winds, whispering in a tongue only the universe speaks. Other planets are frozen, with surfaces glittering like glass, reflecting starlight in endless shimmering fields. Some are shrouded in clouds, their skies painted purple, red, or green. To picture them is to dream of places so quiet, so removed from the noise of our world, that they soothe simply by existing. And the truth is, there are more planets than stars. That means more homes, more cradles of possibility, scattered gently across the universe. You are never alone. You are part of a cosmos that is abundant, overflowing with worlds and light. Even the dark is full of hidden places, waiting silently, patiently. Think of the comets, frozen travelers that loop around stars in long, graceful arcs. They take hundreds, thousands, even millions of years to complete one journey. Their tails, glowing softly, are made not of fire, but of ice turning to vapor and sunlight, trailing like a veil behind them. Each comet is a memory from the birth of its solar system, carrying ancient secrets, moving quietly through space. Imagine them as slow-motion fireflies, weaving luminous trails across the black canvas of infinity. Their patience is their beauty. They do not rush. They wander, waiting until the moment they pass near a star, then fading back into silence. The universe has no hurry. Every orbit, every cycle, repeats without fail. There is comfort in this. The tides of the earth, caused by the moon's pull, rise and fall endlessly like the planet's own breath. This rhythm has never stopped, not in billions of years, not through storms or ice ages. Even as you sleep, the oceans inhale and exhale, guided by a silent hand in the sky. Beyond Earth, moons are everywhere. Jupiter alone has nearly 100, Saturn too. Some of them are icy, smooth, and silent, hiding oceans beneath their frozen shells. Others are volcanic, with fire and ice mingling in a quiet, surreal landscape. Europa, Enceladus. These names belong to moons where water hides, where warmth might linger, where life may one day be found. Picture the stillness of a moon's surface, far from noise, far from human voices, lit only by starlight and the distant gleam of its parent planet. To imagine standing there is to imagine ultimate calm. Your footsteps would be the only sound, your breath the only rhythm, and above you, always, the vastness of the universe stretching without end. The silence of these worlds is not empty, it is full of peace. Think too of Saturn's rings, bands of ice and dust spread wide, delicate, like lace around the planet's golden sphere. They are not solid, but countless particles, each moving in perfect harmony, each orbiting at just the right speed to never collide, never scatter. Imagine the view from above the rings, watching them curve away, glittering softly in reflected sunlight, like frozen music suspended in space. Their stability is hypnotic. They have circled Saturn for millions of years and will continue for millions more, each piece following its invisible path. The more you drift into this thought, the lighter you feel, as though you too are orbiting, weightless, infinite. And there are nebulae, giant clouds of gas and dust, glowing in colors too rich to describe fully. They are the nurseries of stars, places where new suns ignite from quiet clouds. The Orion Nebula, visible even to the naked eye, is a cradle of creation. If you could float inside it, you would see rivers of light, vast curtains of gas, shimmering in pink, blue, and violet. It is serene, though it is also alive with potential. Stars are born here, gently, like sparks from a quiet flame. To imagine being surrounded by such a cloud is to imagine drifting in a cosmic dream. Nebulae are the universe's lullabies, soft, endless, and colorful beyond imagination. Even black holes, often thought of as violent, have their own kind of calm. They are not chaos, but silence embodied. They do not rage, they do not roar. They wait unseen, pulling softly, invisibly. If you approached one, you would not notice the moment you crossed its boundary. The pull would be gentle, gradual, almost imperceptible. They are mysteries, yes, but also symbols of patience and inevitability. They remind us that time itself can be stretched, slowed, even quieted. Near a black hole, seconds become hours, hours become years. Time itself takes a deep breath and drifts. And even these enigmatic giants are not eternal. They evaporate slowly over countless trillions of years, fading not with violence, but with the quietest sigh, releasing their energy back into the cosmos. The entire universe is made of such stories, not explosions alone, but patience, rhythms, cycles, balances that continue without end. The galaxies themselves turn like great pinwheels, arms curling gently, holding billions of stars in their embrace. Some galaxies collide, but even these collisions are not sudden. They unfold over billions of years, more like two clouds merging than anything violent. If you could watch, it would seem like a slow-motion ballet, graceful and delicate, stars weaving together, dust creating new worlds, new suns. The Milky Way and Andromeda are destined to meet in this way. 4 billion years from now, they will drift together, merging, their stars passing one another harmlessly, their shapes becoming one. For anyone alive then, the night sky will be filled not with distant pinpoints, but with vast, luminous rivers of light. And yet, it will not be frightening. It will be beautiful. The universe is full of such beauty, and it offers itself freely, quietly, waiting only for us to notice. To learn these facts is not to be overwhelmed, but to be calmed, because they remind us of the scale of time, the certainty of cycles, the harmony of orbits. When you let this knowledge sink into you, your own thoughts feel smaller, lighter, easier to let go of. The stress of today is a flicker, a heartbeat, against the background of billions of years. And just as the stars keep shining, Just as the planets keep orbiting, so too will tomorrow come, steady and certain. You can rest, knowing the universe itself is resting with you. Now let us drift deeper, past the galaxies, into the farthest reaches of the universe. Imagine the vastness not as empty, but as a gentle ocean of space, where light travels endlessly, where time itself moves slowly, stretching across dimensions too wide for thought. Here, the most relaxing truth becomes clear. The universe is patient. It waits. It holds. It continues, whether we watch it or not. And in that patience, there is peace. Every particle, every atom, every star and planet follows a rhythm, a dance choreographed long before we existed. Hydrogen atoms drift through space, the simplest elements of all, and yet they are the foundation of stars, the fuel of light. When you breathe, you take in atoms forged in stars that lived billions of years ago. The oxygen in your lungs was born in a supernova, released into the cosmos, floating until it became part of Earth. And now it sustains you. You are breathing the memory of stars. And what could be more calming than knowing you are not separate from the cosmos, but woven into it? Your body itself is made of stardust, elements created in the hearts of stars: carbon, iron, calcium. When you close your eyes, you are not just on Earth. You are a continuation of galaxies. You are a quiet piece of infinity, alive for a moment in the vast stream of time. To rest is not to escape this truth, but to return to it. The stars you see at night are family. They are kin, and they whisper to you through their light, you belong. Beyond the stars are clusters, vast gatherings of galaxies bound together by gravity. Imagine them as islands of light floating in an infinite sea, each with billions of suns, each carrying its own worlds, its own rhythms. These clusters do not collide violently, but drift slowly, drawn together over billions of years, like clouds blending into one another. On the grandest scale, the universe is always merging, always joining, always creating new patterns. There is no rush. Even eternity takes its time. And beyond clusters, beyond the web of galaxies, there is the cosmic horizon, the edge of what we can see. Beyond that, space continues silently forever. And though we cannot yet reach it, we know it is there, stretching out, calm and boundless. This knowledge is not unsettling, but soothing, because it reminds us that no matter how far we go, there is always more, always endlessness. That infinite expanse is like a lullaby. Endless repetition, endless continuity, never breaking, never ending. And as you imagine this horizon, far and unreachable, you begin to let go of the need to reach at all. You let yourself drift. For sleep, like the universe, is not about striving. It is about allowing, about floating, about being carried. Even time itself carries you. Consider that the age of the universe is 13.8 billion years. Yet here you are, alive in this moment, aware of it. For billions of years before you, the cosmos unfolded silently, and for billions of years after you, it will continue. Your presence is a brief flicker, but that brevity makes it precious. And the universe asks nothing more than for you to rest within it. The stars will continue shining while you close your eyes. The earth will keep spinning. The galaxies will keep turning. You can release control because the cosmos itself is the caretaker of everything. Even the end of all things is not an end, but a transformation. Stars collapse into new stars. Galaxies merge into new galaxies. Even when the universe grows old, when the last stars fade, it will not vanish. It will stretch into silence, into stillness, into a final eternal rest. Imagine that the universe itself one day sleeping, after trillions of years resting in the quiet of its own infinity. To know this is to be free from fear. For sleep is not the end of the day, but the continuation of it. Just as the night continues into morning, just as stars fade into new stars, Your rest tonight is not an end, but a renewal. The universe is the proof of this cycle. Always ending, always beginning. Always quiet, always alive. Listen to its rhythms. The pulsing of stars, the orbits of planets, the rise and fall of tides, the drift of galaxies. Each is a breath. Each is a heartbeat. Each is a reminder that nothing truly stops. Everything only transforms, gently, without rush, without fear. And so you too can let go of today, of its noise, of its burdens. You can close your eyes and join the cosmic drift, weightless, endless, safe. Think again of the Earth, circling the sun. Think of the sun, circling the galaxy. Think of the galaxy, drifting in a cluster. Think of the clusters, moving across the cosmic web. Each motion is gentle. Each is steady. And all together, they create the greatest lullaby of all, the song of existence itself. If you listen with your imagination, you can almost hear it. A low hum, a vibration, the heartbeat of the universe. It is soft, endless, and it holds you now. Let that sound carry you. Let it guide you. Feel yourself floating with the planets, turning with the stars, drifting with the galaxies. You are not apart from them. You are part of them. You are stardust remembering itself. You are the universe dreaming of its own vastness. And dreams are where peace is found. So close your eyes. Let the universe sing you to sleep. Let infinite sleep science be your companion, your guide, your gentle voice among the stars. For tonight and every night, the cosmos is with you. And the most relaxing fact of all is this: you are safe in it. You always have been. You always will be. Rest now as the universe rests. Drift now as the galaxies drift. Sleep now as the stars whisper their eternal light. Good night among the stars.
The ocean has always carried within it a kind of mystery that human beings can never truly conquer. For centuries, sailors spoke of towering walls of water rising out of nowhere, engulfing ships, and vanishing just as quickly. They called them freak waves, rogue waves, killers of the sea. But for most of the scientific world, these stories were dismissed as exaggerations, drunken sailor tales, or the last desperate words of men who never returned. The idea that waves could rise as tall as 10-story buildings in the middle of the open ocean, without storms, without earthquakes, without warning, was considered impossible. The physics, they argued, simply didn't allow it. Waves were predictable, measurable, limited by wind speed, water depth, and energy transfer. Anything beyond that was myth. And yet, shipwrecks kept happening. Cargo ships split in two under mysterious circumstances. Oil platforms reported impacts from waves far larger than meteorological records could explain. Entire crews disappeared without a trace, leaving only fragments of wood, steel, and unanswered questions drifting on the sea. For decades, the official stance remained the same. Giant rogue waves did not exist. But reality has a way of defying belief, and in time, the ocean would reveal its secret. It began not with an eyewitness account, but with mathematics. In the 1960s and 70s, a handful of physicists began modeling the nonlinear dynamics of wave motion. What they found suggested something strange. Under certain conditions, waves could borrow energy from neighboring waves, growing disproportionately large. These calculations showed that the ocean was not always the calm, average system textbooks described. Instead, it was a chaotic environment where rare, extreme events far larger than the average, were not only possible, but inevitable. The problem was, there was no hard proof. Numbers and theories weren't enough. Without direct observation, the scientific establishment dismissed the models as curiosities, not realities. Meanwhile, in the real world, sailors kept reporting encounters. An officer on a German cargo ship swore he had seen a vertical wall of water rise 25 meters high, blacking out the horizon. Survivors of wrecks described a sudden mountain moving toward them, dwarfing their vessel before smashing it apart. Insurance records showed an unusual number of ships lost under unknown circumstances. But scientists, sitting safely behind desks, insisted it was all misunderstanding, exaggeration, or human error. In 1978, the MS München, a massive German container ship considered unsinkable, disappeared in the North Atlantic. Built with reinforced steel and state-of-the-art engineering, she was designed to withstand anything the ocean could throw at her. And yet, within days of leaving port, she sent a single distress call, SOS from München. 49 degrees north, 27 west. Ship heavily listing to starboard. Ship sinking. Then silence. Rescue teams found only fragments of wreckage and a few lifeboats. Some of those lifeboats had been torn from the ship more than 20 meters above the waterline. Whatever struck the München had been far greater than any storm wave ever recorded. For the families of the crew, the answer was obvious. Something colossal had risen out of the Atlantic that night. For scientists, however, the explanation was the same as always: severe weather, structural failure, an unfortunate accident. They could not admit that a rogue wave might have been responsible, because to do so meant rewriting decades of oceanographic understanding. But by the 1990s, too many anomalies had piled up to ignore. Oil rigs in the North Sea began reporting impacts that could not be explained. These rigs, designed to withstand 20-meter waves, recorded sudden strikes at heights far beyond what theory said possible. The Draupner oil platform, in particular, became a silent witness. On New Year's Day, 1995, in the middle of a relatively moderate sea, its sensors captured something extraordinary: a wave 25.6 meters high, twice the height of surrounding waves, slamming into the structure with unimaginable force. For the first time in history, there was undeniable, instrumental proof of a rogue wave. The Draupner wave, as it came to be called, changed everything. Suddenly, what had been dismissed as sailor folklore was now an accepted reality. Rogue waves existed. They could form in calm seas, and they could destroy even the strongest human creations. But here's the unsettling truth: scientists hadn't simply overlooked rogue waves. They had refused to believe in them. The stories didn't fit their models, and so they ignored the evidence until it became impossible to deny. This is the story of those giant waves, the myths, the shipwrecks, the ignored warnings, and the shocking discoveries that forced the world to finally admit what sailors had always known: the ocean holds monsters, and they are very real. Act 1 begins not in the lab, but on the decks of wooden ships centuries ago, when men first set out into the unknown. Sailors in the age of exploration, venturing into the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, and around the Cape of Good Hope, wrote of seas that seemed to rise like walls of glass. They spoke of white walls that appeared out of nowhere, smashing down on ships with no storm to precede them. These accounts were recorded in logs, passed into maritime folklore, and often dismissed as embellishments. After all, men living for months at sea, drinking stale water and rum, were not considered reliable witnesses by the scholars of their time. And yet, generation after generation, the same stories reappeared. Portuguese sailors described monstrous waves in the South Atlantic. Dutch explorers wrote of sudden seas taller than their masts. Whaling ships in the Pacific told of waves so high they could look down upon a vessel as though from a cliff. These were not isolated tales. They were a pattern. By the 19th century, when shipping lanes became crowded and transoceanic trade boomed, reports of sudden massive waves increased. Ship captains were trained to recognize storm swells, to calculate wind-driven seas, and to measure their risks. But what they saw in these cases defied training. Rogue waves were not part of meteorological charts. They didn't correspond with cyclones or hurricanes. They came out of clear skies as often as in storms. Few in academia dared suggest otherwise, because to believe the sailors was to challenge the entire framework of oceanography. And science, like the sea, has its own currents of resistance. But the ocean does not care for human theories. And as ships grew larger, their encounters with rogue waves became harder to dismiss. In the 20th century, luxury liners and massive tankers began encountering them. The Queen Mary, one of the most famous transatlantic liners in history, reported being nearly capsized in 1942 by a wave over 28 meters tall. In World War II, Allied vessels described freak seas that could engulf destroyers and toss battleships like toys. Yet still, the naval reports were classified or ignored, chalked up to the chaos of war. To admit rogue waves existed would be to admit that even the mightiest navies were at the mercy of something beyond their understanding. What makes this denial so fascinating is not just the science, but the psychology. Human beings want to believe the ocean is predictable. We want to think we can chart it, model it, and engineer our way through it. The idea that at any moment, without warning, a wave the size of a skyscraper can rise out of nothing and obliterate us, well, that's terrifying. And so, for decades, denial was easier. Scientists preferred to look the other way, to write the sailors off as drunk, mistaken, or delusional. But all the while, the rogue waves were out there, rising and falling, unseen except by the unlucky. In the years leading to the Draupner wave, evidence began stacking higher. Satellite data, initially collected for military and climate purposes, started showing anomalies. Scattered across the world's oceans were rare but unmistakable signals of massive waves, far larger than predicted by models. European researchers studying radar images of the South Atlantic found hundreds of wave events towering over 25 meters. Oil companies, too, quietly collected data on impacts far beyond engineering limits, but these findings were locked away in corporate vaults. Acknowledging rogue waves meant acknowledging liability, risk, and the need for costly redesigns. It was easier, financially and scientifically, to keep quiet. But the ocean was patient, and on that New Year's Day in 1995, it finally provided the irrefutable proof. The Draupner wave wasn't just an anomaly. It was a message. Rogue waves were real, and they were not as rare as anyone had believed. What terrified scientists most was the realization that these waves did not need storms, tectonic shifts, or tsunamis. They could form spontaneously from the interaction of ordinary waves, amplified by non-linear dynamics into something monstrous. It was chaos theory, written in saltwater. And once the Draupner data went public, the world of oceanography had no choice but to admit the truth. But the truth raised even darker questions. If rogue waves were real, how many ships had they already claimed? How many disappearances long thought to be due to storms or human error were in fact the work of these hidden giants? And, most disturbingly, how many more would strike in the future? After the Draupner wave in 1995, silence was no longer possible. The data was there, recorded not by a sailor's eyes or a survivor's memory, but by an array of sensors fixed to a steel platform. Numbers don't exaggerate. Instruments don't imagine. And so, with one strike of water, centuries of denial collapsed. Rogue waves were real. But this was only the beginning, because once researchers accepted their existence, they began to ask questions. How common are these waves? Where do they strike? And, most troubling of all, can we predict them? The answers would prove even more unsettling than the myth. Oceanographers turned to satellites, a tool that until then had mostly been used for weather, military, and climate research. With radar altimeters scanning the surface of the oceans, scientists could measure wave heights across vast regions. At first, they expected rogue waves to be vanishingly rare, once in a century, perhaps once in a millennium. What they found instead was shocking. In a 3-week survey of the world's oceans, satellites detected more than 10 rogue waves towering above 25 meters. Not 10 per century. 10 in just 3 weeks. The implication was clear. Rogue waves were not freak events at all. They were a consistent part of ocean life, striking far more frequently than anyone dared to admit. Ships that vanished mysteriously, platforms that collapsed without warning, men lost at sea. The explanations were suddenly, painfully obvious. The ocean wasn't broken. Science had been blind. The mathematics of these waves defied intuition. In linear wave theory, the model scientists relied on for decades, wave heights followed a Gaussian distribution, a neat bell curve. Most waves were average, a few were larger, and extremes were vanishingly rare. But rogue waves broke that curve. They belong to what mathematicians call fat tails, extreme outliers that appear far more often than the model allows. This wasn't an accident. The ocean, like financial markets and weather systems, was governed by nonlinear dynamics. Under certain conditions, waves didn't just add together, they fed on one another, transferring energy until one became disproportionately large. It was called modulation instability, a process akin to resonance, where small inputs magnify into enormous outputs. This meant the ocean was inherently unstable. It could, at any time, give birth to a monster wave without warning, a perfect storm not of wind and rain, but of mathematics. But theory alone wasn't enough. What the world needed was proof, and proof came in the form of wreckage. Ships continued to fall victim to inexplicable disasters. In 2001, the Bremen, a German cruise liner carrying over 100 passengers, was struck by a rogue wave in the South Atlantic. The wave shattered windows on the bridge, disabling navigation systems and plunging the vessel into darkness. Miraculously, the ship survived, but the message was clear: even modern engineering was vulnerable. Later that same year, the Caledonian Star, another cruise liner, was hit by a rogue wave near the Falkland Islands. Windows 15 meters above the waterline were smashed. Water surged into the vessel. Crew and passengers were thrown against walls, injured, terrified, convinced they were moments from death. These ships survived only because of luck, angle, and timing. Many others were not so fortunate. Maritime insurers began taking notice. For decades, unexplained losses had been quietly written off. But as more evidence emerged, the financial stakes became undeniable. Rogue waves were costing billions, and the risks could no longer be hidden. Oil companies, too, realized the truth. Their platforms, designed with maximum wave heights in mind, were not built to withstand the giants the ocean could conjure. In 1984, the Ocean Ranger, one of the largest semi-submersible rigs in the world, sank off the coast of Newfoundland during a storm. Official explanations cited design flaws and human error, but survivors of nearby vessels swore they saw waves like walls, rising higher than the rig's deck. Years later, in light of the Draupner data, the Ocean Ranger's fate looked less like an accident and more like a casualty of denial. As the evidence mounted, scientists scrambled to understand the mechanics. They began running simulations, wave tank experiments, and chaotic models. They discovered that rogue waves could form in multiple ways. One was constructive interference, ordinary waves overlapping at just the right moment to create a giant. Another was current focusing, where strong ocean currents forced waves together, amplifying their heights. The Agulhas Current off South Africa, for instance, became notorious for rogue waves, where massive swells traveling from the Southern Ocean collided with powerful opposing currents. Countless ships were lost there, often with no survivors, and only now did the science catch up to explain why. The third, and perhaps most frightening, was modulation instability, waves stealing energy from their neighbors, feeding themselves into a single monstrous crest. This wasn't just chaos, it was nature's version of a predator, a wave that grew by consuming others until it towered alone. And yet, even as the models improved, prediction remained elusive. Rogue waves were by definition spontaneous, arising in seconds, invisible until too late. Unlike hurricanes or tsunamis, they offered no warning, no chance for preparation. A ship might sail under clear skies, only to be struck by a skyscraper of water that existed for less than a minute. Survivors described them not as waves, but as walls, vertical, terrifying, impossible to climb. Some said they could feel the ship rise, hang, and then crash with bone-shattering force. Others never had the chance to describe anything at all. The wider world began to take notice. Documentaries, news reports, and scientific conferences shifted their tone. No longer did experts laugh off the tales of sailors. Instead, they admitted the unthinkable. For centuries, ordinary men had been right, and the scientists had been wrong. The ocean was not predictable, not safe, not chartable in the neat lines of textbooks. It was a world of chaos, where monsters roamed unseen. Rogue waves became a symbol of the limits of human knowledge, a reminder that nature still held secrets beyond our grasp. But the story doesn't end with acknowledgement. Acceptance brought with it a darker realization. If rogue waves were real and frequent, then humanity's entire relationship with the sea was under threat. In naval archives, researchers began to re-examine shipwrecks. The sudden disappearance of vessels like the Moonlight no longer looked mysterious. The inexplicable splitting of supertankers, the vanishing of fishing fleets, the ghostly wreckage of yachts, it all fit the rogue wave profile. In one case, the MV Derbyshire, a massive bulk carrier, sank in 1980 with all 44 crew lost. For years, the sinking was attributed to storms. But when investigators found her wreck decades later, 4,000 meters below the sea, the evidence pointed to catastrophic structural failure caused by a single overwhelming wave. She had not sunk in a storm. She had been crushed by something larger, something sudden, something her builders never designed her to survive. By the early 2000s, the science had shifted from denial to obsession. Research projects launched across the globe, using satellites, buoys, and radar to hunt for rogue waves. And they found them everywhere: the North Atlantic, the South Pacific, the Indian Ocean. The very water sailors had always warned about, off the coast of South Africa, near Cape Horn, across the North Sea, were confirmed hotbeds. But even calm seas were not safe. Rogue waves could rise in the middle of nowhere, without storms, without warning. The terrifying truth was that they did not need an excuse to exist. They were simply part of the ocean's nature, waiting for the right moment to show themselves. For centuries, the voices of sailors had been drowned out by the arrogance of science. Now, their words were vindicated, but at a terrible cost. The acknowledgement of rogue waves meant acknowledging the fragility of human mastery. All our ships, all our platforms, all our confidence in the predictability of the seas, it was all built on an illusion. The ocean had always been bigger, stronger, more unpredictable than we dared admit. And in the shadows of this revelation, another question began to surface. If we had denied rogue waves for so long, what else was the ocean hiding? What other monsters waited, unseen, in the restless dark? The 21st century began with the truth finally out in the open. Rogue waves were real. But knowing they existed was not the same as understanding them, and understanding them was not the same as surviving them. For scientists, the challenge became prediction. For engineers, it became survival. For sailors, it remained what it had always been: fear. Because when a rogue wave rises on the horizon, there is no time for science, no time for theory. There is only impact. The most haunting fact to emerge from modern research is just how frequent these monsters are. Satellite surveys, radar measurements, and buoy data revealed that rogue waves occur not once in a blue moon, but regularly, all across the oceans of the world. They may not be an everyday event, but they are common enough to pose a constant threat to global shipping. At any given time, thousands of cargo vessels, tankers, and passenger ships crisscross the oceans, carrying the lifeblood of modern trade. The world's economy depends on their safe passage. Yet every one of those vessels sails under the shadow of waves they may never see coming. For shipping companies, the statistics are chilling. Each year, dozens of ships vanish at sea, often without explanation. Many are small, but some are massive vessels, built of steel, designed to withstand the harshest conditions. Yet they vanish as though swallowed whole. Insurance reports call them lost with all hands. Official records list storms, structural failure, or unknown causes. But when you compare the locations, the conditions, and the eyewitness accounts, a darker picture emerges. Rogue waves are not rare killers. They are silent predators, responsible for a significant portion of maritime disappearances. Every time a ship disappears without distress signals, Every time debris washes ashore without survivors, every time investigators shake their heads and say unknown cause, the possibility of a rogue wave lurks just behind the uncertainty. Modern engineers face a cruel paradox. To design ships that can withstand rogue waves would mean making them vastly larger, heavier, and more expensive. It would mean redesigning entire fleets at unimaginable cost. Instead, most vessels are built for statistical averages. They can handle storms, yes. They can withstand harsh seas, yes. But the giants? No ship can be built invincible. And so the industry quietly accepts the risk. Ships will be lost. Crews will vanish. The ocean will take its toll. It is the price of doing business on a planet covered in water. For scientists, prediction remains a tantalizing but distant dream. Rogue waves appear suddenly, without warning, and collapse just as fast. Their lifespan can be minutes, sometimes only seconds. Unlike hurricanes, they cannot be tracked across oceans. Unlike tsunamis, they are not tied to seismic events. They are born of chaos itself, where wind, current, and non-linear mathematics converge in an instant to create something vast. Some research has suggested that localized radar systems, capable of scanning kilometers of sea in real time, might provide a few minutes of warning. A few minutes might mean the difference between survival and catastrophe. But deploying such systems on every ship in the world is expensive, impractical, and far from reality. And even then, what can a ship do in 3 minutes to prepare for a 30-meter wall of water? In truth, prediction remains a fragile hope, more theory than practice. The most advanced research comes not from academics alone, but from industries with the most to lose. Oil companies have poured millions into understanding rogue waves, because their platforms are sitting ducks in the open sea. Unlike ships, they cannot maneuver. They cannot turn to meet a wave bow first. They must stand and absorb the blow. For them, prediction and mitigation are a matter of survival. But even with all their resources, the conclusion remains grim. Rogue waves cannot be prevented. They cannot be diverted. They can only be endured, or not. Perhaps the most unsettling realization came not from the rigs or the cargo ships, but from passenger liners. Cruise ships, carrying thousands of tourists, now venture across oceans every year. These floating cities are taller, wider, and more luxurious than any vessels in history. But they are not invulnerable. In 2010, the Louis Majesty, a cruise liner sailing in the Mediterranean, was struck by a rogue wave. Windows 15 meters above the waterline shattered, killing 2 passengers and injuring many more. The sea had given a brutal reminder. It does not care how rich or powerful you are. To the ocean, all ships are the same, fragile objects riding the surface of something unimaginably vast. For coastal nations, the threat goes beyond shipping. Rogue waves can strike shorelines, harbors, and even surfers. While most dissipate before reaching shallow water, those that survive can devastate beaches without warning. In South Africa, where the Agulhas Current creates one of the world's worst breeding grounds for rogue waves, entire coastal communities live with the knowledge that monsters lurk offshore. Fishermen leave port knowing they may never return, not because of storms, but because of something they cannot predict, cannot fight, and cannot see until it is too late. And yet, there is a strange beauty in this danger. Rogue waves are reminders of what the ocean truly is. Not a highway, not a playground, not a commodity, but a force of nature beyond control. For all our satellites, sensors, and simulations, we remain small against the sea. The arrogance that led scientists to deny these waves for centuries has been replaced by a new humility, a recognition that there are limits to human knowledge. The ocean is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be respected. Some researchers now speak of rogue waves as a kind of warning, a message from a natural world. In an era where we chart, measure, and monetize every aspect of the Earth, rogue waves remind us that not everything can be tamed. They are chaos incarnate, proof that even in the 21st century, the world still holds secrets we cannot master. They are not myths, not sailors' tales, but truths written in salt and water, rising out of nothing to humble us. So the next time you look out over the ocean and see its calm surface stretching to the horizon, remember this. Somewhere out there, right now, a wall of water is rising. A rogue wave, unseen, perhaps unnoticed, will form, strike, and vanish. No one may witness it. No one may record it. But it will exist. Because that is the nature of the ocean. It gives, it takes, it creates, it destroys. And in its heart, hidden from view, it harbors monsters that science once refused to believe in. The giant waves are real. They always have been. The only question that remains is how many more ships, how many more lives, will be claimed before we learn not to dismiss what sailors have always known. The ocean does not lie. The men who vanished did not lie. It was we who refused to listen. The story of rogue waves is not just about water, or physics, or ships. It is about human arrogance, our desperate need to believe we can master nature, and the sobering truth that some forces will forever remain beyond control. For centuries, we denied their existence. Now, we must live with their reality. And in that reality, the ocean stands undefeated, a reminder that on this planet, there are still giants we cannot tame.
The Milky Way, our home in the cosmos, a vast island of stars, dust, and mystery. Tonight, we are going to wander through 100 facts about this galaxy, told in a way that feels like drifting through space itself. You can let your mind relax, your body settle, and allow curiosity to guide you as we embark on this cosmic journey. But first, imagine this. Every star you see in the night sky belongs to the Milky Way. Fact 1. Our galaxy alone holds between 100 and 400 billion stars. Fact 2. The Milky Way is not the whole universe, not even close, but to us, it is everything. Fact 3. Our galaxy is shaped like a barred spiral, a kind of cosmic pinwheel with sweeping arms. Fact 4. The bar in the center is made of stars too, stretching across thousands of light years. Fact 5. From Earth, we see the Milky Way as a hazy band of light because we are inside it, looking across its disk. Fact 6. The diameter of the Milky Way is roughly 100,000 light years. Imagine light, the fastest thing in the universe, taking 100,000 years to cross it. Fact 7. Our galaxy is not still, it rotates, and it carries us with it. Fact 8. Our solar system orbits the center once every 225 to 250 million years. A journey sometimes called a cosmic year. Fact 9. This means dinosaurs were alive the last time Earth was on the opposite side of the Milky Way. Fact 10. The center of our galaxy is mysterious, housing a supermassive black hole called Sagittarius, a star. Fact 11. This black hole has a mass equivalent to 4 million suns. Fact 12. Yet it is relatively quiet compared to the ravenous black holes at the centers of other galaxies. Fact 13. Around the black hole swirl stars at unimaginable speeds, pulled by gravity's grip. Fact 14. Our sun is about 26,000 light years away from the galactic center. Fact 15. We live in one of the galaxy's spiral arms, known as the Orion Arm or Orion Spur. Fact 16. This spur is a minor arm, nestled between two larger ones, Perseus and Sagittarius. Fact 17. The Orion Arm is only about 3,500 light years across. Fact 18. Yet within it lies the familiar sky we know, Orion, the Pleiades, and so much more. Fact 19. Astronomers believe the Milky Way formed over 13 billion years ago, not long after the Big Bang. Fact 20. The oldest known star in the Milky Way, HD 140,283, nicknamed the Methuselah star, is estimated to be nearly 14 billion years old, older than the galaxy itself. Fact 21. The Milky Way is still growing, slowly devouring smaller galaxies. Fact 22. The Sagittarius dwarf galaxy is being torn apart by the Milky Way's gravity. Fact 23. Streams of stars across our sky are the remains of galaxies already consumed. Fact 24. Our galaxy belongs to a neighborhood called the local group, a collection of over 50 galaxies. Fact 25. The largest in this group is Andromeda, our nearest spiral neighbor. Fact 26. Andromeda is on a collision course with the Milky Way. Fact 27. In about 4 billion years, the two galaxies will merge. Fact 28. When that happens, the night sky will glow with billions of stars from Andromeda as it draws near. Fact 29. Astronomers call the future galaxy Milkomeda, or sometimes Milkromeda. Fact 30. Our galaxy is moving through space at about 600 kilometers per second. Fact 31. Yet we don't feel it, because everything around us moves together. Fact 32. The Milky Way has a halo, a vast sphere of dark matter, and ancient stars surrounding the disk. Fact 33. This halo is invisible to our eyes but vital to the galaxy's structure. Fact 34. Without dark matter, the Milky Way would fly apart from its own spin. Fact 35. Stars in the halo can be among the oldest objects in the universe. Fact 36. Globular clusters, dense balls of stars, orbit in the halo. Fact 37. The Milky Way contains about 150 to 180 of these clusters. Fact 38. Each cluster can hold hundreds of thousands of stars packed tightly together. Fact 39. Some clusters, like Omega Centauri, are so large they may be the remnants of dwarf galaxies. Fact 40. Our Sun is just one of billions of stars and remarkable in cosmic terms. Fact 41. Yet its presence gives Earth life and light. Fact 42. Around many stars in the Milky Way, planets orbit, worlds waiting to be discovered. Fact 43. Astronomers estimate there may be billions of Earth-like planets in our galaxy. Fact 44. The Kepler Space Telescope revealed thousands of exoplanets in just a tiny patch of sky. Fact 45. If you looked up at night, almost every star you see likely has planets of its own. Fact 46. This raises a question: how many worlds out there may host life? Fact 47. The famous Drake equation tries to estimate civilizations in the galaxy. Fact 48. Yet we have not heard a whisper, a mystery called the Fermi paradox. Fact 49. Some believe advanced civilizations might be watching quietly. Fact 50. Others think we are alone in this vast sea of stars. The truth remains hidden in the Milky Way's silence. Fact 51. The Milky Way is not symmetrical, its disk is warped, bent like a ripple. Fact 52. Astronomers believe gravitational interactions with nearby galaxies may cause this warp. Fact 53. Even though the galaxy looks serene, it is shaped by violence. Fact 54. Star formation occurs in the spiral arms, where clouds of gas collapse into newborn stars. Fact 55. These regions shine as nebulae, glowing clouds lit by stellar light. Fact 56. One of the closest star-forming regions to Earth is the Orion Nebula. Fact 57. It lies just over 1,300 light-years away, visible to the naked eye. Fact 58. Inside it, hundreds of young stars are being born. Fact 59. The Milky Way recycles itself. Stars die, explode, and enrich gas clouds with heavy elements. Fact 60. Those elements form new stars, planets, and life. Fact 61. Every atom of calcium in your bones was forged in a dying star. Fact 62. We are literally made of the Milky Way's history. Fact 63. Supernovae play a key role, scattering elements across space. Fact 64. Such explosions can outshine the entire galaxy for days. Fact 65. The last supernova visible from Earth was in 1604. Fact 66. The Milky Way likely has one or two supernovae every century. Fact 67. Yet many are hidden behind dust invisible to our eyes. Fact 68. Our galaxy contains vast amounts of interstellar dust, tiny grains blocking starlight. Fact 69. This is why telescopes using infrared or radio waves can peer through the clouds. Fact 70. Pulsars, the remains of massive stars, sweet beams of radiation like lighthouses. Fact 71, hundreds have been detected across the Milky Way. Fact 72, magnetars. A rare type of neutron star have magnetic fields trillions of times stronger than Earth's. Fact 73, some bursts from magnetars are so powerful they can be detected across the galaxy. Fact 74, black holes of stellar mass also populate the Milky Way. Fact 75, some are quiet, invisible, revealed only when they pull matter from a companion star. Fact 76, the Milky Way may hold millions of black holes. Fact 77, yet most remain undiscovered. Fact 78, our galaxy also contains streams of gamma rays, remnants of ancient cosmic events. Fact 79, in 2010, astronomers discovered enormous structures above and below the galactic plane, giant bubbles of energy. Fact 80, called the Fermi bubbles. They extend 25,000 light-years out. Fact 81, they may be remnants of an eruption from the central black hole. Fact 82, or they may be shockwaves from bursts of star formation. Fact 83, the truth is still debated. Fact 84, the Milky Way is more dynamic than it appears. Fact 85, even our solar system is not stationary. It bobs up and down through the galactic plane. Fact 86, this oscillation takes tens of millions of years. Fact 87, some scientists once suggested this motion might influence Earth's mass extinctions. Fact 88, though the evidence remains uncertain, it reminds us of our place in a larger cycle. Fact 89, the galaxy's stars are not evenly spread. They cluster in arms, associations, and moving groups. Fact 90, the Pleiades is one such group, a young open cluster. Fact 91, open clusters are loose gatherings of stars, often dispersing with time. Fact 92, the Hyades cluster is another, shaping the face of Taurus. Fact 93, all these stars share a common origin in a cloud of gas. Fact 94, eventually they drift apart, lost to the galaxy. Fact 95, the Milky Way's beauty is fragile, temporary, always changing. Fact 96, even constellations are not eternal. Fact 97, over thousands of years, the stars shift, reshaping familiar patterns. Fact 98, the sky our descendants see will look different from ours. Fact 99, yet the galaxy itself will endure for billions of years. Fact 100, as you drift into sleep, remember this: the Milky Way is our cosmic home, a vast ancient ocean of stars, and you are part of its story. And now let the facts become whispers in the background of your mind, each one a stepping stone across the stars. We have wandered through billions of suns, collided with galaxies, born and died with stars. We have seen that the Milky Way is not a static picture, but a living, breathing entity. It has swallowed galaxies, birthed clusters, and will one day merge with Andromeda. It carries us across the universe in an endless journey. As you rest now, imagine yourself floating within the spiral arms, cradled in the glow of countless stars. Imagine the halo, stretching far into darkness. Imagine the black hole at the center, quiet and patient. Imagine the future, when our galaxy joins with another, forming a new, greater home for future beings to marvel at. The Milky Way is vast, but within its immensity lies comfort, the knowledge that we belong, not as outsiders, but as children of the stars. And as you drift deeper into sleep, let the last thought linger: you are stardust, woven into the fabric of this galaxy, forever connected to its luminous story.